Okay, this one's about mounting the sensing bulb, like that, on the suction line. And it's fairly simple, and there's some directions from manufacturers on how it should be done and where this should be placed around the diameter of the tubing. The first thing, though, I wanted to go over is take a look at this tube. This is not clean. It's not, it's not terribly dirty, but it's really not very clean. The two things we want to emphasize with mounting this bulb is clean and tight. So I'm going to sand this thing off and then we're going to mount it. Okay, now you can see I've sanded this off. And one thing about sanding that tells you a couple of things, see this spot here? I really don't want to put it there. When I sand it, I can see those spots. I'd rather have it someplace else on the tubing where it made a little better contact. So I'm going to choose this little spot right here and we'll put it on. Now we've got it mounted. Where should we put it on the tubing? And of course, this horizontal pipe. If it should be below the center line if it's 7/8 inch or larger. If it's under 7/8 inch, it should be on top. Don't put it on the bottom. The reason you don't put it on the bottom is there's oil on the bottom, there's a little bit of liquid refrigerant mixed with the oil, and it's going to give you an inaccurate read. Can I mount it on vertical pipe? You know, I've seen things that say you're not supposed to mount it on vertical pipe, and I've seen some that say you can. I have mounted them vertically and they seem to work fine. The only problem, you don't want to do it this way. Now that's not the way you want to do it, because see, that's a mixture of liquid and gas in here. It's a saturated mix. And the liquid's going to tend to go into this cap tube and possibly end up in the power head. It's best not to do that. I have actually seen these work, and sometimes they work reasonably well, but I would not put it that way. If you have to put it in a vertical pipe, make sure this is up. Make sure you're not putting it on an elbow or, anywhere close to, where there's brazing compound or something like that that's going to raise this off of the pipe. If the bracket comes loose and this thing's dangling in the air, obviously it is going to overfeed. And so you want this thing clean and tight on the pipe. Now, is this tight enough? Not really, no. This bracket's all kind of screwed up. So it should be tighter than that. It should come down. It should be hard to put on there, and it should be reasonably hard to wiggle. This is the train bracket, and I don't know if it's the best thing in the world. There are screw brackets that come with a lot of these, and the screw brackets sometimes are great, sometimes they're not. There's issues with those too. So because they break sometimes and so on. But anyway, clean and tight. Now, should you insulate it? Yeah. Now, Train doesn't. Train doesn't insulate any of that stuff. And they will work without it. I like to insulate it. I guess you really don't have to, but a little bit of foam tape really can't hurt anything. And that's mounting the sensing tube for the TXV.